Hello, hello. My name is Kim Addis, and you have just joined the Frame of Mind Coaching Podcast. I'm the president and founder of Frame of Mind Coaching, and I want to invite you in to a discussion with someone I just met today. Her name is Samira Walli, and as you get to know her, I will get to know her too. And she has come to us with a little bit of a challenge. Samira, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So you're in Toronto, which is exciting.
It
And
is.
you run a company called Designer Day Tonight.
Right.
So what do you do? What is Designer Day Tonight?
So I'm an image consultant and personal shopper, and I shop for the busy person, the person who hates to shop, or the person who has challenges for putting outfits together. Not all of us know and understand what colors and what patterns look good on us. And some of us aren't good at translating those patterns with other patterns. So suits and ties, shirt combinations, for example, there's so much out there. And solid's the easy way to go, just as black is the easy thing to buy. But there's so much great stuff out there. So I ensure that you look fabulous in the clothes you buy. And I bring those clothes to you so you don't have to navigate retail.
Okay, one quick question. Like, it doesn't matter what size you are, how tall you are, how skinny you are, how short you are.
Correct. I have everything from a size 0 to 24 in women, and a 29-inch waist to a 42-inch waist in men. And I do have some odd pieces for if people are a little bit larger. But everything I have works with just about anybody's size. And it's important to buy clothing that fits you for your body shape. And it doesn't matter what the size is, because if it fits you well, it looks good on you, it gives you the confidence, and people notice you, and that's important.
Amazing. So, what is your challenge today? What is the thing that you're grappling with?
I'm challenged with shopping for that busy person because they're so busy. My challenge is actually connecting with them for them to make time for me. But what they don't understand is it's a very simple process. I have maybe 6 questions. It takes them max 10 minutes to fill out. And then I bring clothing to them in the comfort of their home, and they don't have to go anywhere. So in total, they may be spending a half an hour, 40 minutes, and they would easily get 10 pieces of clothing that work for them more if they would like. If they were to navigate retail, even if they were to shop online and it doesn't work for them, they still have to go to the post office to return it or go back to the retailer to return it. A
Right.
lot of times they just end up keeping it because it's too much trouble and they're just too busy.
In there. Uh, so let me understand. Your challenge is, it sounds like it's sales, revenue, finding the person who's willing to spend time with you and money, presumably, to use your services. Yes? Okay. So let me ask you another question. How is COVID impacting you? Like, I don't know. I imagine people don't want you to go to their houses with your clothes, right?
Absolutely. So COVID definitely impacted me. I'm a person who comes into your home and looks at your wardrobe to coordinate with it, to work with it, and for you to pull out pieces that you have no idea what would work well with it or where to wear it or that sort of thing. So two things COVID impacted me. One, nobody was going anywhere, so they didn't want the clothing.
Right.
And two, people didn't want me in their home. So what I did before and what I ended up Googling to ensure that it was the safe method is that I actually steam the clothing before I bring it to you. So
Okay.
steaming kills the germs because
Right.
it's in water. And once you see the clothing, I also steam it again before I put it back into my clothes room. So that's a bit of a safety feature. And two, I can stand on your porch. I can stand in your garage. in your backyard, which is what I've done now. So I'm no longer coming into your
Mhm.
home, but you still have the ability to show me the items you've tried on so that I can offer advice.
So let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you a slightly different question. You have a very, very specific business model, and that business model is very in-person based.
Correct.
Yes. Have you considered any other business models that are focused on design and dress, and let's call it consulting, but from a distance?
The only thing I have considered, which I haven't explored well enough, is altering the clothing you currently own to meet fashion trends now. And sometimes it's a minor tweak. And I do that to my own clothing all the time. I always buy stuff and do a little bit here and there. I have not translated that to say I can take your clothing and
Modernize.
change it. And yeah,
Okay, so I'm a big fan of looking to other industries to see what works and seeing how I can apply what works over there to over here. So,
okay,
I mean, it's very interesting when I talk to business owners, they have a very, very specific ideology or a specific picture of what their business is and what they do. And when you talk to someone outside of that, their picture could be completely different. Okay, so
right.
when you said I could take your clothes and modernize them, I'm like, wow, I never even thought a person could do that. If I just handed you my wardrobe, could you fix it? That's interesting. But also, I think that there's an opportunity right in front of you that we can look to other industries for. And I'll tell you what that is. So, I don't know if you've ever experienced receiving an email from someone who said, hey, I checked out your website and, I'd like to give you a free assessment. Have you ever gotten one of those emails?
I have,
Okay, so and nowadays that strategy isn't perhaps as powerful as it used to be,
right.
but there was a time when it was hot.
Hmm.
Would you agree? We'd be
Agreed.
like, wow, someone looked at my website and they have something to say and they can tell me how to improve it. I'm going to talk to that person. Fine, I'll take that free assessment, right?
Right.
So, what's happening in this day and age is you actually have access to people's wardrobes through Zoom
True.
meetings, right? And so there are all kinds of, I'll call them public speakers. I'm one of them. And I'm on Zoom all the time. And I always wonder, like, what should I wear? Someone told me you shouldn't wear black on Zoom. This is blue, by the way.
I can totally see it is.
Right. And so I'm like, really? Who knew that? Right. Um, but imagine if you literally watched a whole bunch of people on Zoom and found their contact information because presumably they want you to find them. That's why they're on these presentations. And
Hmm.
you send them an email and you say, hey, I loved your presentation. I'm an image consultant. I would love to do an assessment. I have some feedback for how you showed up on Zoom. And they'd be like, oh my goodness, right? Kind of
Absolutely.
crazy. So now suddenly you're talking to people who care about their image,
Hmm.
they care about how they look, right? Does that make sense for you?
It does.
And so you would say, hey, I'd be happy to, like, do a Zoom review with you and then introduce them to your other services. But here's the thing, what you're doing right now is very limited geographically, and when you're thinking
Yes.
about growth, you have to think, how do I grow?
Yes.
So you don't want to be limited by geography, not in this day and age,
Right.
and you don't want to be limited by in-person meetings, right?
Yeah.
You want to expand somehow. And so you don't want to limit your target market. You want to define your target market really well. People who care about their image. And people who care about their image are often public facing people. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So if that's your target market, and I don't know if it is, but if that's your target market, I think those people are easy to find because they want to be found, right? So you can, look for every speaker, every public speaker, right? Those,
Right.
that could be your target market very easily. And providing them with a little tiny bit of feedback up front, there's a concept where give them a taste of what you do. So give them
Right.
a taste of what you do, offer some value, some good advice, and say, hey, by the way, here are some of the other services I offer. I can literally take your wardrobe and overhaul it. And they'd be like, wow, I never heard of that. Nobody ever suggested that. And
Right.
then the next conversation is, how much do you charge? And
Right.
that's the conversation you want to be having, right?
Right.
Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Sometimes for me, when we look at the bottlenecks we have in our companies, actually not sometimes, all the time, the bottlenecks don't come from the logistics. They don't come from circumstances. Our bottlenecks always come from the beliefs we have in our thinking about what we can do and what we can't do.
Right.
And oftentimes for business owners, their limitations come in the form of, this is my business. And they don't think that this could be my business, right? And so they don't have that broad view. They have a very narrow view of what they do and how they do it. And
Right.
the idea is to step back and take a broader view. And really, like, I encourage people to say, what do I believe to be true about my business? What do I believe to be true about my clients? What do I believe to be true about the way people react and respond to my business? And in your case, who have I served and where have my wins come from? Because
Right.
that's very telling, right?
Okay.
What do you think?
I love it. Hadn't thought of it. And you're right. Once once you go online, they can be anywhere in the world.
Right. They can be anywhere in the world and you can serve people who want to be served,
Right.
right? So, maybe I'm a good candidate. We should talk later.
Absolutely. I would love to.
Any questions for me? Any reactions or responses?
I can't think of anything right now. Let me think.
The question is, can you see yourself implementing this? Was this useful?
Absolutely. I can absolutely see it. And to be honest, my head is already spinning where I'm thinking, what can I do and how I can incorporate it. So right now, my website is a one pager. It's just an informational website. And I didn't do an e-commerce store because I have a lot of unique items. And if you hate to shop, or if you're too busy to shop, or if you're not good at putting outfits together, you're not going to shop on my website because you don't have time, you hate it, or you're not good at it. So if I have red clothing and you never wear red, but you would look amazing in red, you'll not you will not buy it. But if I bring it over and say to you, try it, I think it'll look great on you, and you do, 9 times out of 10, you'll buy it. There is the odd person who says, no, I just won't do red. It's too loud for me. I'm there to push you out of your comfort zone, not change you. So I won't
Right.
force you to buy it because it will just become another item in your closet that has tags on it that you never wear.
Right. So to me, as I hear you, I hear more opportunity. My thought is like, hey, red sounds interesting. I wonder if I would look good in red. So there are two things that I think of. I think I'd love some kind of expert to say, hey, yeah, you should wear red, or, green is your color, whatever my color is, right? Like, somebody tell me, what do I know? I'm not a color expert. I'm not a design expert, right? But at the same time, you know what else I would love? I would love for you to take a picture of me and put me in your red outfit so I could see what it looks like visually,
Absolutely.
right? So there are lots of opportunities here, lots and lots of opportunities that if you get creative, really what your job is to influence me and my decisions about what I wear. And do you have to be with me physically in person to do that?
No.
Not at all. You just have to get a little bit creative.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so here's what I kind of last thoughts in terms of a little bit of coaching. Very often when we're stuck with a problem, our We jump to the first question is, what should I do differently? What action should I take? And I always want to tell people, don't take any action. Don't do anything yet. First, ask yourself a question. How am I thinking about this problem? What do I even believe is the problem?
Right.
And what you want to do is explore that a little bit further and ask yourself, what do I believe to be true? And in those beliefs lies the problems that we are creating rather than the actual problems. Because the way we think about things is really what creates the bottlenecks in our businesses. It's not the customers, it's not the circumstances, it's not the product, it's none of that. It's the way we think about what's ahead of us. And before we take action, I encourage everybody to kind of sit back and ask themselves, even write it down, journal. How am I thinking about this problem? What do I believe to be true? And
Right.
in those beliefs lies your solutions. Samira, thank you so much for spending this time with me. How do people find you?
So they can find me online. I'm designerdaytonight.com. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. And they're all Designer Day Tonight for my Facebook page as well as my Instagram. Or they can email me, stylist@designerdaytonight.com.
So it's day to night.
Yes, all the words.
All the words. Got it. Okay. So designer at day to night?
No,
No.
stylist at designerdaytonight.com.
Stylist at designer at daytonight.com?
No,
No.
there's two ats in there. Stylist at designerdaytonight.com.
Okay. You know what? We're going to put that in the show notes because it's not going in my head.
That's all good.
Function of my age.
No worries.
And please go and find Samira. It sounds like she knows what she's doing. And I'm really interested in this whole idea of taking my old clothes and making them cool again. That's great. For those of you who are listening and think about a challenge that you might have, that you might be interested in bringing to the podcast, please reach out to me. My email address is kim@frameofmindcoaching.com. And if you have a challenge that you do not want to talk about on the podcast, but do want help with, email me still. My email is kim@frameofmindcoaching.com. Samira, thank you for joining us. And thank you all for tuning in. Until we see you again.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.